Good evening to all our viewers, and welcome once again to our program T Positive with me, Chami. And as promised, every week we bring you a personality that's inspiring, that has motivated, and is a successful Sri Lankan, one of our very own. And this week we have a very interesting personality, I must say. I've been having a chat with him over the last couple of days, and I think we're going to have a very interesting time today. So today, let me introduce to you our guest, without further ado, Mr. Vasula Premawardena. How I should introduce you, I was baffled actually, because I was perplexed, because you started off with the IT field, and then you moved into stockbroking, financial analyst, and then now you're into adventure sports. So I don't know how you want me to introduce you, so I'm going to ask you, Vasula, give us a little bit of insight into who the real Vasula is.
Nobody knows, including myself. Thank you, Chami. First of all, I am humbled, and thank you for inviting me. Not sure if I deserve this honor of being here. Well, to start off with, let's say I had done a lot of stuff. The way I see it is, if you get caught into the trap of a particular route, then you miss out on a lot of things on the road. So I started out as a computer science guy because back then there was no internet in the sense of Facebook and a lot of things, DOS people. Yeah. So we did DOS 6 before Windows even came. At that time, this university I went to, University of Southern California in Los Angeles, was one of the top 5 schools that offered the program, and I wanted to be out of Sri Lanka, obviously, right after my A-levels, and I had a 1-year stint at Peradeniya. Okay. And I don't know if I should say that, but I had to thank the JVP for sending me to the US. However, my parents were a bit concerned during 86, 87, and we were a lot of the kids at that time hitting 18, 19, and most of us left to do our college degree there. So I started with computer science because I was a math background guy. Okay. So I did applied physics and pure maths and stuff. My mother was a maths teacher. Okay. And so I had that part of it. Okay. My dad was more of an artist in the sense he was a scholar of Latin, Sanskrit and Pali. Okay. And he's a civil servant. So we were educated to be professionals. I didn't want to be a doctor because that meant studying a lot, nor a lawyer. Right. So computers appealed to me. That was the latest, newest thing that was going on. So I chose a program that I could do. Okay. And I also had done a little bit of programming here, that they were in Sri Lanka, waiting for my A-level results and stuff like that. So I knew I loved it. Okay. So I hit in the US, with the US, trying to do the computer science degree, which was just introduced more or less within 3 or 4, 5 years of the degree. Okay. Now it's called information systems or whatever, I don't know. However, I also kind of minored in finance and economics and stuff, and I was introduced to capital markets or stock markets while I was there in the US, which I had no idea in Sri Lanka. Actually, I had no idea what was going on in Sri Lanka while I was studying and doing my A-levels, because we led the sheltered life. Most of us still do, I think. Yes. So we were not involved in politics or different things. And not having internet, we didn't know what was going on in the world either. So we were just living a very local, good time, having a good time, playing cricket, and curfew was nice because it meant we had to go to school, and we were just naughty kids. Yeah. So by the time I graduated, I realized I loved programming, and I'll come back to that, why it is good for everyone to know programming. But I was introduced to the New York Stock Exchange, and also because of my math background, I was introduced to something called derivatives, which Sri Lanka doesn't have. So I got into options trading and futures and stuff like that very early, while in college. Okay. And then as soon as I graduated, I knew what I wanted to do. So I dumped my degree and I took out to Chicago and became a stockbroker because that was the fastest way for me to get a license.
Right.
So I started there. Then by 94, 95, I decided to come back to Sri Lanka because there was new hope at that time, and I always wanted to come back around 28. Because if you stay there too long, then you can't.
Yeah.
You get kind of into the system.
Yes.
I didn't. I had my green card, and I thought, okay, 3 years later I can decide. Push comes to shove, I shall go back.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take the citizenship
Okay.
because I thought it's kind of letting down my country, and I wanted to come back. I thought of it like, if you had poor parents who educated you and gave you all and sent you somewhere, and then you have foster parents who says, look, you're rich.
Yeah.
You might be our child.
Yeah.
You have a house, you get a car, you get a job, you
Yes.
can live here, but you have to dump your parents. This is how I thought about Sri Lanka and US. I didn't want to give up my citizenship. I didn't want to give up my passport. I only want to rent the room. I didn't want to buy the house.
Right.
So I kept my options open, but I came back to Sri Lanka as planned. Then meanwhile, I wanted to get back to the market.
Okay.
And while I was trying to do a capital market, stock market television program, I think I kind of impressed the Securities Exchange chairman, whom I didn't know,
Right.
and the director general, who was a friend of mine.
Okay.
And then they spoke and said, why don't you come to the Securities Exchange Commission and see, you talk so much about derivatives,
Right.
see what you can do. And we had just started the capital market program
Okay.
to kind of change the market. And so by 2008, I joined the SEC as a director
Okay.
of product development and media,
Right.
and tried to introduce derivatives via the Colombo Stock
Okay.
Exchange.
Okay.
It's a long story. I think you might
No,
have to
no,
cut
I
it.
know. I mean, you've had an interesting life, so you have to go step by step, and every step seems to be more interesting than the one previous. So, you mentioned that you were here at Premawardena University for a year.
Yes.
Were there any memories, or
Well,
was it
pleasant.
interesting?
Yeah,
or?
it was certainly interesting.
Okay.
I loved it. I mean, I was a royalist,
Okay.
and the thing about royal is that we meet everyone.
Yes.
It's not a particular school that it's a brilliant school where you meet a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So we grew up knowing to deal with everyone.
With everyone.
Premawardena was a great experience for me because unfortunately Premawardena, whether you knew English or not, you still had to go to the English whatever orientation.
Okay.
Okay, whereas Colombo or Katabad you didn't have to.
Right.
So I arrived there without any first years
Okay.
or thinking that there were no seniors.
Okay.
And a nice funny story I tell everyone is because I was going to play tennis in Premawardena.
Okay.
Because thinking only freshmen are there. And then there were like 3 people while I was on my way with another friend of mine who was supposed to meet me there. And happily were taking my Yonex racket. And then they saw me pass and they let me go and they said, "May mali padageno go." Right? Go there. I said, "Me tennis guy." So of course they ragged me.
Yeah.
They gave me a what you call go part at that time.
Right.
Just asked me to. But they realized I'm cool. I'm just talking with them. I'm fun,
Right.
and it's not a huge,
Right.
They didn't kind of scare me, and I
Right.
was okay.
Was the sorry, I'm going to disturb you. Was the ragging as bad as it is now? At
Well, it
that
got.
time? Okay.
It got. These guys were third years.
Okay.
So Premawardena is a very funny place because the first years get hostels,
Okay.
fourth years get hostels,
Okay.
but the second and third years don't have a place to go.
Okay.
1. 2, I had anyways rented my own place.
Okay.
By that time, I did not want to take my thing. So along the way, I got a bad rag, but these guys were third years and they just found me funny that I was trying to play tennis and obviously clueless about this whole system.
Right.
And so I got friends with them. So by the time my seniors came, the third years were my friends already, and they kind of couldn't rag me because I knew they are big guys, right?
Right.
So it was fun.
Okay.
But however, I think somewhere down the line, I was asked to shout something at a particular person who was a female girl studying peacefully. And I said, well, I don't want to do it. If you want to rag me, rag me. I'm not going to rag her. I have no idea whether you guys don't like her or not. So, give it to me, but I ain't going to shout and embarrass her.
Right.
So that didn't go well, but that was a different school, agriculture. So they had to ask permission from my chaps, my seniors. Then they took me to some place and tried to give me a rag, which was quite physical.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy it. Then you get really angry at that time. I used to box at school, so when I came to the point where, okay, next one who gets close to me is going to get it.
You're going to punch it.
Yeah. And then they stopped.
Okay.
Then they're like all very good friends.
Right.
They're like, oh, come take a boom, this and that. So they try to kind of break you, I think, to flatten it out.
Right.
I don't think it's necessary to bring down everyone to one level.
Yes.
So I don't think ragging is a good thing. Ragging should be definitely stopped. And I hope this government does something about it.
Yes.
So that is one story of Peradeniya.
Right, fantastic.
So other than that, I didn't learn anything because we were just doing orientation and we had just started.
Okay.
And like I said, the JP was just coming in. So we had 2 days no class and then 1 day classes.
Okay.
And then
what did you get into study?
physical sciences.
Physical sciences,
yes.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do exam twice to become an engineer.
Right.
And I wanted to go to the US.
Yes.
So it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you head off to the US.
Yes.
And then you study computing,
yes.
IT.
That's right.
Yes. And then you spoke a little bit about programming. And you said you have something interesting to tell us about programming.
Well, I think Obama said it also, that everybody should
start
programming. Because it kind of makes if you're I think if you're a math-based guy, that's how, I mean, actually, although I did weird things, you will find one string that attach. Because I'm an analyst, I'm a computer programmer, even directing, I did commercial directing, so it's more of a trying to find the market niche and do a product and shoot it to that particular group.
Yes.
Right? So it involves a lot of thinking and strategy. So either way, programming is a thing that you have known inputs and a required output.
Right.
And you have this black box, which is the program. So if you learn to program and you know what the output is required and you know what the inputs are, you learn to break down big problems into smaller procedural functions. Okay, because you can't write one code to do everything. You need to learn to quickly break up everything into smaller doable pieces. So the fact that I actually studied computer science, or perhaps it is me, I don't know, but either way, the bottom line is that I break down everything to doable pieces immediately, without even thinking too much about it. It happens auto now. So any huge target, I know what's required, and then I come down to the immediate and immediately figure out how to get about things. Given that this topic is about positivity. I actually can attribute the way I think to positivity and thinking of things as challenges and not problems. There's always a way around it. It may be longer, I could be shorter. You might have gotten the total wrong end of it, but still you might be doing it. But you can get there, as long as you don't give up and stop trying to do something. So as long as you can find 360 degrees and you covered all angles, I don't stop. So I don't give up until I think, okay, I've given it all. I have tried everything. Okay, until I'm confident that I have tried everything. Because I try everything. I try everywhere. It doesn't matter. I don't try to get stuck on the route because the method is not relevant. If you know what you want done. But having said that, you have, because you are going to have challenges that's going to come up and that's going to not let you do things. I'm a believer of what's that saying? You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Accordingly. So you still want to sail. You don't know what the wind is going to do, but you can adjust your sails. So as long as you take responsibility for your own actions, not expect various things from the outside, and you break it down, and then you try to go around whatever obstacles that are coming at you to not be able to do it, you can go forward without being, depressed and angry and frustrated. Because for me, I think those are the negative things. That doesn't help you.
Yeah.
If you get stressed and angry and frustrated, you are not at your optimum level. So to perform at an optimum level, at least what has happened in my case is that immediately, I mean, I had my bad days also.
Right.
Just 2 days, 3 days. Then I get over it.
You bounce back.
The only way I get over it is that I immediately have another plan.
Right.
Okay, I think the mind works that way. That if you give it no hope, then it gets either angry or it gets sad or it just thinks, oh, I can't do it. But if you give it like a little straw, anything that it can grab, that okay, you're still going there, it calms down. Right? So in one way, I always look at something and then I don't really worry about the past. In fact, I'm quite forgetful and I don't really have a problem with that.
Right.
Because the more you forget, I think it's better.
It's easier to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point carrying this whole load of stuff.
That's true.
We can apply it to anything from our country right now to the UN resolution, whatever.
Yes.
It's just a lot of load of unnecessary baggage you're carrying. It's another saying that comes into my mind, which is if you cross a river, there's no need to carry the boat on your shoulder.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So just let it go. The last second is not relevant as long as you learn something from it. But the next second and the current second you have control of. So you immediately start to apply to get out of it. As soon as you apply to get out of it, your mind, I think, it is my mind, I can't speak for other people, is happy.
Yes.
Okay, he's got a program, he's going somewhere, and supports it. So I guess it comes down to hope and hopelessness.
Yes.
If you believe that you have no hope, then you start going in reverse. I remember a title of a book which stayed in my mind for a long time, and I still kind of, it's something that I always, like a maxim. Of course, it's one of those racy books that boys read.
Right.
It's a James Hadley Chase. I can't even remember the story, but I remember the title, Dreams Die First. Basically, I think you need to have a big dream.
Yes.
It should not be, everybody, if they have a dream, and it's not about a 2-storied house or, some materialistic dream, but it's a big idea. It's so big that you have to go really far to go. So you have so much distance with your dream.
Right.
You're always traveling towards it.
Yeah.
Okay? So when something doesn't work the way you want, right? As long as you have a kind of an idea of who you are, what your life is. I think everybody knows that. I think it's in our bones. So some people want to become the president, or some people want the richest man in the world, or I don't know, whatever that you want. It should be so far away that wherever you are going, even if you are taking a little D road, somewhere else, you are still behind the line. So if you keep your target in front of you, and you can proceed, I think, with numerous obstacles that come at you. And if you don't try to get too stuck on how you want to do, or exactly what you want to do in very labeled terms, if you keep it a principle, if you keep it an idea, if you keep it a lifestyle, right? It doesn't matter if it's a Merc or a Jag or a Tuk, right? If it makes you happy, right? You will get there. And with a positive, without wasting too much time on past. I always say, people say, don't get mad, get even. I don't like that. I think getting even is such a waste of time.
Right. Because you're spending a lot of time.
Why? Yes. I always think when people are either rude to me or they have issues, I think it's their problem, basically. Because everybody's different, everybody sees things different. So I don't have a problem with people having problems, even with me.
Yes.
And I understand a lot of people, and I don't have any anger or even the people have issues where sometimes people have taken companies from me or done stuff that are not quite ethical, because when I had my production house, when the previous one we had to close down, I had another accident.
Okay.
I crashed 3 cars, one in US and 2 in Sri Lanka. And at my weakest point, they thought they could, they want to be directors, and I said, no, it's okay. So I just kept my little pen and one production guy, and I started again, because they all left with my clients and everything and started. But they are still my friends.
Yeah.
And one of them recently asked me for some favors also, right?
Right.
So I don't have a problem, because I understand, look, if my ambition is limiting to them, I shouldn't hold them back. And if they believe that they can do better, please go ahead, but don't take my company. Start your own. Go for it. I found out in Sri Lanka sometimes people leave jobs without telling you.
Yes.
They think that, I'm going to stop them, or the boss is not going to like it. I'm like, I always say, no, I'll give you the best reference. I think you all should do something, go abroad, do whatever you want, and I will help you. Because I'm not here to capture and make you a slave. I don't want to be one either. And so I'm always trying to get people out. I don't like people who stay on too long, because that means they have lost that edge. They are flattened out, they are flatlining, and that's the most boring thing in life. If you don't have, if you always know, that's why I don't like salaried jobs, because it's just every month you get something. So that's why I've technically always been some sort of entrepreneur on my own. The longest relationship I had with the job is the current one, which is 5 years. I hope I'm not talking
No, that's fine. I was just, I was just listening to...
You asked like 3 questions. And
yes, I was listening to what you were saying. I didn't want to disturb you also, because there was a lot of positive thoughts that were coming out. And I think a few of the takeaways, for me, one thing is hope. And I think you said it so rightly, because hope is one of the most defining things in our life. And if we really, if we've lost everything else, but we have only hope, we'll still keep moving forward. And I think everyone needs to do that in their life, to keep moving forward. Because for me, it's not about losing the battle, it's about staying down when you've lost. And that's where you actually lose the battle. If you keep still, if you stand up and if you dust yourself off and keep moving forward, I think you can still win at life.
Definitely. Because confidence makes you happier. And confidence in yourself is I think the happiest, because then you're not dependent on people. When you start depending on other people for your happiness, then things become a little tricky. So I totally, that's how I believe.
So like listening to your life story, we've seen a lot of shifts from, IT, computing, to stockbroking, financial field, and then filmmaking. Is Vasula Premawardena getting bored with what he's doing, or is he, or is there because I've noticed a trend also when you were speaking. You mentioned that, when you moved into stockbroking, you went and studied it. I also know that when you got into filmmaking, it was something you studied also. You went and you studied it, and you made sure that you were there, right up there, because you had the technical knowledge and all of that. So is it just boredom that makes you move from one sector into another, or what is it?
Not boredom, passion.
Passion. Okay.
I think I can't do something that I have lost my passion. I can't be in a situation that I don't have to be in. So I try to not take on unnecessary obligations, including getting married, for example. So I'd like to remain single. I might, I don't know, I have not made up my mind. I'm too young for it. So it's also a part and parcel of how I do things. When I discover something that I love more than what I'm doing now, and I always have the capacity, I think thanks to my mom and dad and the DNA, to have the confidence that I can do it, I can learn it. And if they can do it, I can do it, right? And also, given the situations, I have also, a few victories are necessary along the line and along what you're doing.
Right.
Because when you fall, sometimes I get kicked out of the chair, and those times are really good, because then I've been too comfortable. And
Right.
then I realize that, and I always double up. I come back very strong.
Right.
And I thrive under stress because I want to be challenged. It bores me when everything gets a little calm and quiet.
It seems to be the common theme, actually. I mean, even the last week when we spoke to the other guest on the show, she did mention the same thing. Like, it's the challenges that keep her moving forward, because if she wasn't challenged in her life, she wouldn't also, she would be very comfortable with where she was. But every time she was challenged, it motivated her to move forward.
Right.
You went to film school in New York.
Yes.
How did that go?
I loved it because you're running around New York with, RE cameras
Yes.
and black and white film.
Yes.
So still old school. And it was a process, and it was a lot of fun. It was a short course, of course. But I did that because by that time I did it, I already was a commercial director.
Okay.
Luckily for me, because I took over a production house, I had editors, I had cameramen,
Right.
I had country's best guys at that
Right.
time. Before this company folded, we were number one in everything. So it's a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get
Yes.
industry, because you have a camera out.
Yes.
So as long as you know what you want,
Right.
and this industry is full of professionals, so the DOP knows what he's doing,
Right.
presumably, and everybody else. But I got into editing myself because my short list is in my head, and it's my exposure that is different to how people are approaching this. For me, orange is not just a color.
Okay.
It must serve a purpose. And a commercial is a 30-second, 45-second story, and you don't have all day like a film to
Right.
lay it out. So every frame is literally, you won't see a fly in it if you're a good director.
Right.
If there's a fly in it, you wanted that fly in there. So there are accidents in every frame. You can freeze frame and it'll be a perfect shot.
Right.
That's the way it ought to be done. So I went, so that I think at the end of the day, you need to have some sort of background and understanding so that you have not missed something, that you're completely doing it wrong. Maybe you might be getting it right, but maybe there are other ways. So you might as well learn how it is done so that you're comfortable and you can be confident. So actually that's what gave me when I went to film school there. It's like, oh, I already know it.
Right. It gave
It's
you
covered,
it was
right?
a confidence
But nobody
boost.
could take me down because I'll say, I went to New York Film School, I did my job.
Right.
So it gives you that credibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Similarly, when I was doing at Security Section Commission, my degree was in computer science.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to introduce derivatives to the Colombo Stock Exchange. I did my master's in financial economics, mainly to shut them off. Because otherwise they're like, what is an IT guy? It's because you traded derivatives.
Right.
So some credibility comes off the letters, and you learn everything actually in the field.
Right.
Because I can't even remember my courses now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it gives you that capacity to kind of stop people and say, look, I also know.
Yeah.
And that is what education is good.
Yes.
And you need to pursue it and have a technical idea. And then you can tune it to do brand new stuff. But to do stuff, you need to have the confidence of other people in you as well as confidence in yourself.
Yes.
So learning what you have to do is a very good idea.
Great.
Yes.
I think fantastic advice from Mr. Vasula Premawardena. I'm going to get into some fun stuff now. Well, you're a fun guy and you like to do fun stuff. I know you're into paragliding. It's not heard of too much in Sri Lanka. We don't have it in Sri Lanka. I know that you do a bit of paragliding in Sri Lanka, but we don't have any commercial paragliding in Sri Lanka? No, we don't. Yes. So I was just thinking, I mean, surfing at one point of time was not very popular in Sri Lanka. It's a very new idea to us, but now even the locals are partaking in this. And I love adventure sports. I'm one of those people who put it on my bucket list and want to tick it off.
Right.
So I've skydived. I'm wanting to paraglide, but I'm waiting to go to Brazil to do it.
Right.
But I mean, if we have it in Sri Lanka, fabulous. I mean,
Yes.
you know. So walk us through this journey of how you got into paragliding,
Okay.
and where do you see future of paragliding in Sri Lanka?
Well, if you have a say in it, it's going to come.
Great.
And that's something I want to do.
Okay.
How I started paragliding is because, again, goes back to kind of maybe it's in my bones. I like flying. I don't like diving, for example.
Okay.
Because it makes me feel claustrophobic, and
Okay.
you're like the slowest animal in the water.
Right.
Some fish can come and attack you,
Right.
and then you can't do anything
Yeah.
about it because
Yeah.
you're like, you have to come up slowly, you have to go up slowly, and
Right.
you are like completely,
Yeah.
in the wrong location. For me, so I like adrenaline
Right.
rushes, I guess. So one day I opened the newspaper, saw Premawardena riding school, and I thought, okay, I'll go horse riding.
Okay.
And I took part in a race, and basically the day before the race, the horse literally ran into the sea, and
Okay.
I got dumped into the water. The day of the race is the first time I galloped the horse. I just held on to its mane, and it ran. So I do fun stuff like that.
Right.
So paragliding was something which was always I wanted to do.
Okay.
And then sometime in somewhere in India, in Pune, I came across a place, and
Okay.
I decided to go join a short course.
Okay.
So I went and I did that. So I loved it. As soon as I was in the air, and you're by yourself, you have wings on, and you're floating like a bird,
Yeah.
and you're not in your comfort zone, and you feel the nature because things are powerful,
Right.
and you feel small because it's so big, and you're in the moment because you can't be thinking of other things.
Yeah.
You're terrified,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
right? And initially, so you're always like tensed up.
Yeah.
So you're always in the present. So everything is nice. You hear the birds, you feel sky, and
Yeah.
you don't hear the wind because you're going with it.
Okay.
And it's just that you're in a parachute already, and it's zero gravity as far as you're concerned.
Yeah.
No effort on your side,
Okay.
part at all, because all we have is we are basically in a kite.
Okay.
So I have two strings I can pull that pulls this way or that way, and then I can pull both, and then the wings come down, and that I'm supposed to do when you're landing.
Okay.
Other than that, it's up in the air,
It's up
literally.
in the air, literally.
So it's a great sport for people who are not afraid of height.
Yeah.
And people ask, aren't you afraid? I'm not like overcoming. Luckily for me, obviously, I don't have vertigo or issues with height.
Right.
I don't mind my feet dangling and I'm 1,000 feet up in the
Right.
air. It's
You're
like a
fine.
great feeling.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into paragliding.
Okay.
However, then each time I had to go abroad to fly. So I've flown in Bali, I've flown in France, I've flown in India, Indonesia. But each time I come back,
Yeah.
for another 6 months to 1
You have-
year,
yeah.
then my holidays also become like very short
Focused.
for flying.
Yes.
Then I go to visit countries, but I don't see anything because I'm in the site, I'm flying,
Right.
I'm there to fly.
Yeah.
And you can't party too hard because in the morning you want to
have
be
to-
on,
Yeah.
right? It's your life in your hands.
Yeah.
Any mistake is yours, and the risk factor here is a little not so forgiving
Okay.
because you're
Yeah.
you're not meant to fly.
Yes.
So we had to do this in Sri Lanka. Then I came back. I found a few other mad guys who are willing,
Okay.
who also started. So we have 3, 4, 5 people who are now just scouting
Okay.
hills and mountains, and we have flown in Matale, Del Tota, different places.
Yes.
But this is a high-risk game also. So we want to ensure that we have the proper infrastructure. Because, for example, in Indonesia, in Western countries, of course, it's like a golf club. You come, you park your car, you take your wings, everything is sorted, everything is safe, the flying site is, to standard, landing site is standard, right? You don't have kids coming and asking you to pack your bag.
Right.
But in India, Indonesia, it's different. It's a whole ecosystem. It's tourism because actually most of the pilots are local.
Okay.
and they give tandem rides. Like when you did skydiving, for
Yes,
example, it wasn't you in a parachute
No.
on by your
Yes.
own. So you were strapped
It
to
was a
somebody
tandem.
else.
Yeah.
So it's a different trip. You still get the same thrill,
Right.
but not the thrill of being the pilot.
Being the pilot.
So being the pilot and being the kind of the kangaroo baby
Yeah.
in paragliding, it's a different trip. One is you get a very aerial view. It's the first time. You tick your bucket list thing. You've
Yeah.
done it.
Yeah.
But when you're flying, you're responsible for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it brings a whole different adrenaline rush to you. So we have to ensure that we bring paragliding in, because it also takes you to internal mountains and locations where the tourists or even local or foreign tourists don't go to, because it gives you something to do when you're there other than just nature.
Right.
And so a lot of people do tandems and they don't take on paragliding, but they're on the ride. It's
Right.
like the zip line,
Yeah.
okay, in
Yeah.
Sri Lanka somewhere.
Yes.
So then it brings a lot of local tourism to the city, to the village. Then from, like you brought a surfing example, the boys in the village, they see us flying and they want, it's always the young boys. When we land, we are surrounded by people, right, clapping and it's all these things that are excited. So it gives them some hope. Wow, I want to fly. Right, so they want to come and now hang around you, fold your bag. So in India, for example, they started this guy called Sanjay, he's a good friend of mine, and most of his crew are people, boys who have started young, learned it, as apprentices more or less, and now they're running different paragliding schools. So from the site of landing to the site of takeoff, you have van drivers, you have little restaurants selling roti, tea, all the way up the mountains. Over 300-400 families are then more or less maintained by this sport. Then there are restaurants, guest houses,
Basically
hotels.
It's an
ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it's like surfing in Melissa, Koggala, or Valigama. Suddenly, then paragliding itself is like a surfing or diving sport, where you don't want to dive the same place. You don't want to surf at the same beach. Now you want to go to different countries, different locations, and do it there while traveling.
Sorry, I'm going to disturb you there. So there are pilots who paraglide and who go actually looking for locations to do this, like surfers where they...
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we have a proper site and we establish ourselves, people will just come. It's like people coming with their surfboards to Sri Lanka. As long as they know it is possible. Now, actually, to come and surf is much easier than to come and fly, because you find the right wave and you're in the sea, and that is good. But paragliding is a little bit more complicated, so we want to start it right, and that's where, in one way, we want the help of the local, provincial, and central governments, because we don't want for someone to come and then have an accident or randomly go to a place and jump off and then hurt themselves, and the sport will die here. So we want to have it under proper control, because we need to have licenses. It's like paddy. Nobody can just come and hire equipment and go and scuba dive, because there are dangers. Right? So there is no global licensing, because they're all independent, but still there is like understanding. These things must be there. Okay? So that is why for paragliding we need that cover, so that some association is brought in, some set of rules are there, and there's a way to back it up. It's a self-regulated organization technically, but the sports ministry can get involved to ensure that suddenly all these random things don't happen, and people think it's easy, and then they have a fall, or some foreigner comes and has an accident, then you get on the wrong, we get on the map for the wrong reasons, right? So that kind of infrastructural development must happen, and we have brilliant estates, tea estates, mountains that we can fly off. I have flown in different countries, and I can say certainly Sri Lanka is a beautiful location to fly, because everything is green. It's very beautiful. Like we have flown in Horton Plains, and it's nature. You are not disturbing it. You are up there.
Does it require special permission that you guys have to?
Yes, in fact, the wildlife and environmental people facilitated it by having an international we call some few of our pilot friends to come, and they want to promote it because it's definitely not damaging nature at all. You're from up in some spot we need to fly off and land. Other than that, you're actually in the air.
Okay, so from from what you're saying, I understand that my understanding, and I'm very, my understanding may not be the right understanding, so you can correct me, but the landing site is what is the most important thing here, to mitigate the risk
Yes,
factor.
more or less, because you can hike and fly. However, to land, whenever you come down to the the valley, either there is a farm or a house or a hotel or there are people, it's populated.
Right.
So you don't have that extra space to create a safe landing.
Okay.
So when you don't have a space for safe landing, and they say in paragliding, going up is optional, coming down is mandatory, right? So you're always coming down, and you need to come down safely.
Yeah.
So you need to have areas. So if you are a private citizen and you can't buy the land, or there's not a particular area that we can land in, then it's always going to be somebody else's, some property that they are lending us. Then we can't guarantee that we can maintain the flying site, because one day you might decide to build a hotel there or farm it instead, or not allow us to fly or build a house.
Yes.
Right? So that is where we need to have some help so that we can create proper infrastructure for landing, because actually most of the accidents that can happen in paragliding either happen, 90% happens either just after takeoff, because you haven't done it properly, and or you have come down too fast to the landing. It's never mid-air. I mean, not never, but it can happen. But you are still in a parachute, and we also have a reserve parachute. So as long as you have enough height, you can throw your reserve parachute. Most of the accident happens because you're coming down too fast, or you break a leg, or you can damage yourself. Because you have to maneuver, you can't have electrical wires, you can't have houses, you can't have trees, because they make the wind rotors, different turbulence. So coming into landing has to be very safe, and that is where perhaps we can try to, we need that local level help, so that the whole village will, or the whole town will benefit eventually when international flyers come, when international competitions are done. And Sri Lanka right now is #1 travel destination for about 3, 4, 5 years. And it's uncharted for pilots, so everybody loves a new thing. So as soon as we open Sri Lanka for paragliding, we are going to have everybody in the world who is paragliding currently is going to put Sri Lanka on the map, on their bucket list. Oh, let's go there now. We can, and we are a brilliant country, because we are 2.5 hours, 3 hours away from the beach. Right? I mean, who can boast of that? We can fly and then go to the beach the next day if you want. Exactly. So I think here's wishing good luck to you. I think the current sports minister is will be very open to new ideas like this, because he also being a sportsman. I think he surfs also now. And I think he finds time even during his busy schedule to go surf. So I think this is something that he would also like to look into. And I wish you good luck on that. And I hope it makes life easier for people like me, because I'm waiting to go to Brazil or some other country to paraglide, and here, I mean, if we have the opportunity here, I'd love to do it in Sri Lanka. So I think it gives all of us an opportunity, it gives the country an opportunity to capitalize on our natural beauty and utilize it without harming it. And show it off. So I think good luck to you on that. Final couple of questions. You've had a very interesting life and a very busy life. You've moved from one sector to the other. You're into paragliding. You've done a lot of things with your life. You're a busy man. What are the sacrifices? What are the trade-offs that being busy? Sometimes, I look at my life and I'm like, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. I haven't been really busy because I've been doing things that I love. So for me, it has always been, I chose to do it. So therefore, sometimes when I'm trading, I can't wait for the weekend to be over, because markets open on Monday.
So, one final question. If you're talking to our youngsters or anyone who's viewing this program today, what would you say to them? I mean, we've seen how you've lived your life, and the basis of it has been what makes you happy. Today, I think when you look at our younger generation, we're very easy to, give up on things because you tried one time and it doesn't work and you're ready to give up. But you and that generation have really taken things to heights because you never gave up and you kept working on things, you kept working on yourself and not always blamed the outsider, which we're also very quick to do. So any final words of wisdom for our viewers?
Well, I think it just applies to everyone, maybe the current generation more so, what I guess like you said. Have an idea, because right now I think everybody's so used to this instant gratification, right? And we are a generation who are kind of used to working for it a little. Not getting it immediately is not a disappointment.
Yeah.
We are used to be patient because we are seeing our parents be patient. Current lot is a little bit more, what I can say.
They're looking for quick results?
Yeah, very quick results, and they have it really easy. But having said that, in a nutshell, have a big dream, keep traveling towards that. Don't get caught up in the route because the method is not relevant if you have a big idea. Travel towards it. However, remember that life happens at a moment by moment. It's experience.
Yes.
So if you are trying to bulldoze your way and get caught up in the realities of life, very quick story I might tell you, because USC was in Los Angeles and Las Vegas is 3.5 hours drive.
Yes.
So every weekend we used to go there because, well, we used to want to, it's a bit faster than working as a valet parker or a waiter, which I did both.
Yeah.
Go and try to beat the odds.
Yeah.
And we are math guys, so
Yeah.
we are trying to beat
Yeah.
the odds. It's not just putting on black or red. But you see all these machines, right? People are putting coins in. We used to call it one now and then.
Yes.
The coin machines, right? And you get this bar thing. Okay? So one of my theories is that if it's a 4-slot gadget, 3 bars are yours. Okay? You have to really work hard and make those 3 bars or 3 stars or strawberries or whatever line up.
Yeah.
But there's a 4th one that is out of your control. You can't control it. If you're trying to control it, you're going to get frustrated, angry, and disappointed. That you have to leave and line up the other 3, right? And if you're prepared and opportunity happens, you're already there. So you can't try to control everything. I was a person like that initially because I thought I could control all the variables. But you soon find out you can't control all the variables. So now, as I got older, I am more positive, I guess now, because now I expect trouble. Now I expect it to not happen.
Right.
Now I expect to hit a wall, sometimes immediately. Okay, so what you expect is not going to bug you. It's what takes you by surprise is what's going to annoy you or disappoint you. So as long as you're ready for various things and you are dynamic in your thinking and you take it one step at a time, like you take a whole idea and you break it down to today, tomorrow, a week, 1 month, 1 year, right? Then it becomes much easier in your head and you don't get frustrated with people.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's very, very important to understand that everyone is fighting their own thing. Most of us Sri Lankans who are of a certain background haven't even made a cup of tea.
Yes.
Everything comes to us. I was one of them. But in the US, I was a waiter, I was a valet parker, I have done all sorts of jobs part-time as a college student. I started in the library, cafeteria, then I worked in restaurants. Then you realize, hey, I mean, everybody in California is literally an actor, but a waiter,
Yeah.
you know, and a
Yeah.
waiting actor.
Yeah. Yes.
But they finally find out they're actually waiters,
Yes.
because they've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
because they haven't got that shot, but they still do it. So respect everyone, give everyone a chance, don't let people bother you, help everyone along the way. It doesn't matter if they remember it or they don't remember it. You will feel good. Right? It is not relevant whether they appreciate you or they are loyal to you, or it's not relevant.
Yeah.
You make somebody else feel. For me, I don't want to make the whole world a better place. It's too much to change. But people who come into my life, I try to be some positive influence, not a negative influence.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody thinking, hey, I met Vasula and
then
shit, shouldn't have happened. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I can say that. No,
No.
Please say
That's
it.
fine. So we also, I think that there was a few great pieces of advice, I must say. The analogy of bringing in a slot machine is very keeping in with your personality, and I'm glad you did that. But I think we've got some great advices, great life story from Vasula here, and I'm thankful for you agreeing to join us and talk to our viewers. I think, dream big, keep hope going, help others along the way because it makes you feel good at the end of the day, and keep positive thinking going. I think it's worked for Vasula, and let us try and bring that into our life and make it work for us as well. And and hopefully we'll end up like you. And so I want to thank you. Thank you very much for joining with us and talking to us and giving us a lot of positive thoughts. As promised, next week also we will be back with another T Positive program with another very interesting guest. And I'd like to thank finally the Stuart Hotel, who has provided us with this wonderful location. T Positive is a program brought to you in collaboration with Good News Lanka. And we will see you once again next week with one more inspiring story, one more motivational story, one more successful story of one of our very own Sri Lankans.